Hey guys, welcome back. This is lesson 14, how to find the exact trig value without a calculator. So the most important thing is to be able to fill out this chart. I highly recommend you pause the video, create this chart, and then follow my lead, okay? So this is how we fill out a 30, 45, 60, and the multiple of 90s. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. We're gonna divide everybody by 2. Okay, so just watch how I'm doing this. I'm going to take the square root of all the numerators. I don't take the square root of the 1 because square root of 1 is 1. Sine divided by cosine makes tangent. Therefore, when you divide sine divided by cosine for 30 degrees, the denominators will cancel and you're left with just the numerator. The top divided by the top will give you 1, and rad 3 over 1 is just rad 3, okay? So that's how you do that. This person right here needs to be rationalized. So we're going to rationalize it by multiplying by the square root of 3. Okay. How do we figure out the sign? Sign begins with 0, 0, 1, 0, negative 1, 0. Cosine, 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 1. Tangent is sine divided by cosine. So 0 divided by 1 is 0. 1 divided by 0 is undefined. 0 divided by negative 1 is 0. Negative 1 divided by 0 is undefined. And 0 divided by 1 is 0. Undefined means there's a vertical asymptote. Everyone should have this down as something that we need to know. Take it with you to every single problem. Keep referring back to it. I call it like a reference chart. I write here, what's the difference between pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3? Well, the only difference between these two values is going to be the sign of the value, SIGN. Pi over 3, okay, we know pi is 180 degrees. I'm going to go to the sine, 60 degrees. When I go to my chart, I go to sine, 60. I get radical 3 over 2. That means this is radical 3 over 2. That means this is radical 3 over 2. What we want to do is we want to extract the reference angle, pi over 3. And we're going to get the same thing. And now we have to ask ourselves, what is 5 times 60 degrees? So that's going to be 300 degrees. 300 degrees is in the fourth quadrant. Fourth quadrant means cosine is the only thing that's positive. Since this is sine, we're going to change our value to a negative. That's the only difference. If you didn't get that so well, let's do the next one. Cosine pi over 4 is 45 degrees. So cosine of 45 degrees. That's going to be radical 2 over 2. If you take a look at this reference angle, it's going to be the same exact thing. So what does that mean? That means that this answer will be exactly the same, except for I have to make a decision based on the quadrant if it's positive or negative. So because 5 times 45 degrees is going to be 225, it puts us in the third quadrant. The only person that's positive in the third quadrant is tangent. Because this is cosine, my answer is negative. Let's try another one. Tan of 45 degrees, that's what pi over 4 is. You just go back to your chart, you go to tan, you go to 45, right? Your answer is 1. So this is 1. So this person is going to be 1. Why is this person 1? Because we extract the reference angle. What's 45 times 3? That's 135 degrees. 135 degrees is in the second quadrant. All students take calculus from the previous video. Only sine is positive. Because this is tangent, my answer is negative 1. But don't think that every single answer, okay, do not think every single answer is going to be negative. So you have to just be careful. So there is no difference except for the SIGN sign. I have to keep spelling it because I want you to see the difference between this and SIGN. So these two match, these two match, these two match, except for their signs are different, okay? So what about this person here? I don't care about 7 pi over 6 right now. I only care about extracting that reference angle. pi over 6 is 30 degrees. I'm going to go to my chart. Tan of 30. That's why this chart is so important. It's radical 3 over 3. So that means my answer is radical 3 over 3. I just have to see where I am. So 7 times the 30 degrees makes 210 degrees. 210 degrees is in the third quadrant. All students take calculus. Tangent's positive. Well, look, we are working with a tan, so it is positive. It's not negative. And then you're done. Let's try another one. Sine pi over 2. Oh, this is not the pi over 3, the pi over 4, the pi over 6. Okay. What is pi over 2? 90. What is the sine of 90 degrees? Just go to your chart. Sine of 90 is 1. You're finished. Done. It falls right on the unit circle. Okay? Cosine 11 pi over 6. Take the pi over 6. That's what you figure out first. It's going to get a little bit trickier, so stay with me. What's the cosine of 30 degrees? Radical 3 over 2. Now I have to decide. Is it positive or negative? What's 11 times 30 degrees? 330 degrees. So I'm all the way here. All students take calculus. The only trig function that's positive in the fourth quadrant is cosine. Oh, look, I'm doing cosine. So therefore, I'm positive. Okay? So that's how we figure out these with the 11 or with the 7 and so on. What about sine 5 pi over 3? Pause the video, try it by yourself. Sine pi over 3 is going to be sine of 60. That's radical 3 over 2. So that means this is radical 3 over 2. 60 times 5 is 300. 300 puts me here. All students take calculus. Only cosine is positive. Since this is sine, my answer is negative. Okay. Ooh, secant 7 pi over 6. I have no idea because my chart is sine, cosine, tangent. I know that sine's reciprocal is going to be cosecant, and I know cosine's reciprocal is going to be secant. If you guys want to remember it, you can say S and C, C and S. So exactly what you're going to do here to figure this out are the following steps. You're going to first exchange secant for cosine. You're going to figure out cosine 7 pi over 6 by just figuring out cosine's pi over 6. Pi over 6 is 30 degrees. Cosine of 30 degrees is radical 3 over 2. 7 times 30 degrees is 210 degrees. 210 degrees puts us in the third quadrant, which all students take, where only tangent is positive. Because tangent is the only person positive, remember, it's negative. So how do I get the secant? I just flip it. I'm basically finished. The only problem is I can't keep a radical in the denominator. So you multiply by radical 3 and radical 3. Your final answer is negative 2 square root of 3 divided by square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 9, which is really 3. Okay? Secant 3 pi over 4. I don't know what secant 3 pi over 4 is, but I do know the reciprocal of cosine. We're going to extract that special. That's radical 2 over 2. Guess what? That's radical 2 over 2. I just have to decide if it's positive or negative. 45 times 3 is 135. All students, only sign is positive. So that's negative. Now you're going to just flip your answer over. Once you flip your answer over, what you're going to do is multiply by the square root. Radical 2 times radical 2 is just 2. These cross off, and so your final answer is negative square root of 2. Okay, I'm going to just move along, and I'm going to do a few of these. This means multiply the angle first. This means multiply your answer after you get your answer, okay? So f of x equals sine 2x. F is f, x is 2 pi over 3. So in order to find f of 2 pi over 3, You're just going to put the... Now you have to multiply it. Now you go back to exactly the same thing that we just finished doing, right? What is that reference angle? 60 degrees. What's 60 degrees? Radical 3 over 2. Is it positive or negative? Well, 4 times 60 is 240. 240 is in the third quadrant. Sine is only positive here and here. So my answer is negative. So you're finished. That's my answer. Negative rad 3 over 2. Let's try the one below. I have to erase this, but you can always pause the video. Okay. Let's try this one. F of 5 pi over 6, 2 times sine 5 pi over 6. What's the reference angle? 30 degrees. What's the sine of 30? Let's bring down the 2. Sine of 30 is 1/2. 30 times 5 is 150. 150 is in the second quadrant. All students take calculus. The only person that's positive is sine. Oh, look, we're working with a sine. So 2 times a half. Half of 2 is 1. Okay, let me do a few more. What I would do for anything that has an exponent is I would rewrite it like this. You could put parentheses. I just like to put hard brackets. Okay, so with that being said, what I would do is I would put 60 degrees squared, okay? So I don't know what cotangent of 60 degrees is, but I do know what tangent of 60 degrees is. Tangent of 60 degrees is radical 3, or radical 3 over 1. The reason why I said radical 3 over 1 is because the reciprocal, you're going to have to flip it. Now, some of you are going to try to rationalize it right away. I wouldn't. I would actually go like this. 1 squared is 1. Square root of 3 squared is 3. 1/3. So you just do the exponent last, okay? Here, we're going to multiply the angle first. This one is actually very important. You should never look at an angle that's not reduced. So you're going to go 2 times 3 pi over 4. And that's going to be, now, 3 pi over 2, you're going to have to use your chart. Cosine begins with 1, so you're going to go 1, 0, -1, 0, 1. This is 270 degrees. That's 0, 90, 180, 270. So this final answer is 0. Okay? I do have a few more, but that's pretty much okay. If you want to do this tan square one, we could. Let's just do this. We're going to first rewrite this. And then pi of 60 degrees. Tan of 60 is square root of 3. Square root of 3 squared is just 3. That's pretty much how you do this video. I hope it was helpful.